Just when you didn't think it could get any better, huh?
Here we go.
What I got in my hands is a screen-used fender from a Dodge Charger. Which Dodge Charger? That Dodge Charger.
You know what, when I was a kid in school, I remember drawing my favorite thing to draw in class was the Parnelli Jones Chevy truck. And it was that old step side 75 Chevy truck. And when I was 16, I bought one. I bought a short bed Chevy, and I worked at the Glendale Speed Center. It took me a while. It took me about 10 years, somewhere in my mid-20s when I finally, had my own shop and was able to, put a Class 8 truck together. And my very first race was the Parker 400, and I was so excited to be there. It was like an absolute dream come true. I don't think I ever lifted my foot off the floorboard when they dropped the flag. I've been a fan of the Fast and Furious movies since the very first one. It was one of the first, in my opinion, true car movies. I mean, there's a lot of movies that have great car chases or great elements of cars in it, but this was a movie that was, basically cars beginning to end. The first movie I did for the Fast and Furious franchise was Tokyo Drift. I'd already done several films for Universal, and Tokyo Drift was one where I thought, wow, this is something I'm going to stick with because it was a whole different ballgame. It was to go from a handful of picture cars to several hundred picture cars was a huge jump. So I would say that was probably the biggest step in my career was Tokyo Drift. I always have my favorites. The Monte Carlo from Tokyo Drift was a personal favorite. It was basically something that I would have driven when I was in high school. And then you can't forget the Dom's famous 70 Charger as well. As I looked at the cars, I thought, yeah, there's all sorts of things I would do differently. For instance, Dom's Charger, I go, God, man, those 15-inch wheels, I think should really have some 17s on it. The blower should be sitting lower, just things of that nature. The fourth one came around, and I go, God, we're building the Charger again. Now's my chance. So of course, yeah, I think we put that one on 18s, dropped the car probably 4 inches, made a phone call to BDS, said, hey man, I really need some real blower cases. I want the real bug catcher, I want the correct lines. I like to keep things as real as possible, but obviously if we had 9 Hemi supercharged, Chargers on set, that'd be a handful. So time's always our enemy, and it's unfortunately gets shuffled down the priority list, but it's still on my list. With any project, you want to change things up.
3, 2, 1.
When I read the script and it got to the cars coming out of the plane, I was like, wow, cars coming out of a plane. I got to think about that, but then that leads into this great off-road sequence. This is a great opportunity to build something different, to put a sequence in a movie that nobody's ever seen before. Basically, the focal point of that sequence, it's Dom's Charger and Shaw's fast attack vehicle. Those are the ones we put the most work into the suspension. I have a history of off-road racing, and for me to be able to combine, that experience and what I have a passion for into Dom's, hero vehicle was just, a dream come true. The thing's basically a, Pro 2 chassis with a Dodge Charger body on top. Tried to make it look like something that Dom would be proud to drive, and I'll say this is my new all-time favorite from all the films. Is Dom's off-road Charger. lot of the cars are, much easier. For instance, Letty's Challenger in the same sequence. Dodge gave us 8 brand new Challengers, and that's what we really need to make these movies happen. We need that help. We need a lot of cars. We need huge volumes of cars. So it's great to have the backing from from an American manufacturer. It is on my list to build a Hemi supercharged Charger for one of these movies. We got dangerously close for the Hemi. We had a real Hemi in the car. We had the real supercharger. And the last minute we we needed a car to sacrifice. Yeah, it's just like, oh God, okay, well, all we have is that one. That was really just kind of a, personal dream at the end of the movie to have something that we could actually, do an article on. I believe it will happen. One of these days we'll get that done. Just because, like I said, I've been trying for so many years to accomplish that. Like I said, we need to build that 9-second charger. I think everybody wants to see, real action with the car, because my belief is if you go to a movie and everything's CG, it just takes away from the final product. People want to see cars, crashing, running into things, sliding through corners. That's what I think makes this franchise, a step above all the others. It's absolutely a dream job. I mean, there's nothing else I'd rather do than what I'm doing right now. When I was a kid watching movies, this job I don't think even existed back in those days. The original Bullet, they just had a couple of Mustangs, that was it. As the years go on, the car stunts get bigger, not just in Fast and Furious, but everywhere. Just everything just keeps raising the bar. That's the hardest part, and that's what happens in all these movies. Is we finish a movie and I go, man, what can we do in the future to surpass this? And I don't have an answer yet. This one's so big and it's still a little bit fresh. We've just finished it, and so it takes quite a bit of time to try to top the last one, because everyone just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And sometimes I feel like, God, we're going to run out of stuff, but we never do. There's a great team of people involved. Like I said, and everybody kind of pitches in with ideas too. The Fast and Furious franchise is really a family environment when you're on set, because the majority of the crew has done numerous in the past with you. So I don't know yet. We'll just see what everybody comes up with.
So I hope you liked our first look at the Fast and Furious 7 cars. Hit subscribe because we got a lot more coming, including Jurassic World.